Hello, my name is Miss Jones. I teach elementary school math, and welcome to my channel, Miss Math Jones. Today, we're going to be working on our third grade Eureka Module 4, Lesson 8 homework. The objective for the homework is to demonstrate the possible whole number side lengths of rectangles with areas of 24, 36, 48, or 72 square units using the associative property. Now, just a reminder, with the associative property, all that means is that no matter how numbers are grouped in a multiplication problem, you still end up with the same answer. Let's get started. The instructions for number 1 says that the rectangles below have the same area. Move the parentheses to find the unknown side lengths. Then solve. So we're going to start with letter A. The side lengths of this particular rectangle for letter A have already been given to us. The length is 4 centimeters and the width is 9 centimeters. Now, if we look at the equation for area, the 4 is already listed. So the only number that we need to put in the blank there is the 9. So our area equation is 4 times 9. What is 4 times 9? If you said 36, you're absolutely correct. So that means that our area is 36 square centimeters. Make sure you have the correct numbers written in the blanks. Okay, now let's move on to letter B. Letter B, we have a really stretched out rectangle here. The length is only 1 centimeter and the width is 36 centimeters. So you have a really long rectangle here. And if you look at the equation for area in B, it's already written out there. Area equals 1 times 36. Well, remember, anything times 1 is that number. So that means that 1 times 36 is 36. So if you already wrote 36 there, then you're absolutely correct. Now, in our area blank here, we're going to write 36 again because the area is 36 square centimeters. Now, you may want to go ahead and pause the video to make sure that you have the information written correctly on your homework. Now we're going to take a look at letters D, C, and E. First, we're going to go ahead and complete letter D, then C, then E. Okay, so if we look at D, it says that the area of this particular rectangle is a 4 by 9. Okay, so that means that the width, the short side, is 4, and the length is 9. So let's go ahead and label this rectangle as it's shown. The width is 4, and the length is 9. Okay, so it's a 4 by 9 rectangle. And if we look at the equation that's right next to the area, 4 times 3 times 3, the parentheses are placed around the 3 times 3. So we're using the associative property. And what's 3 times 3? 9. So that's correct. We have 4 times 3 times 3, and if parentheses are around the 3 times 3, then it's still the same thing as saying 4 times 9. Now, again, with the associative property, that means that if you group the numbers differently in a multiplication equation, then the answer is still the same. So at first, they put the parentheses around the last two numbers, which means when we regroup them, we're going to put the parentheses around the first two numbers. So now the parentheses are going to be around 4 times 3. Now, that gives us a completely new equation. So instead of a 4 by 9 rectangle, now we're going to have a 12 by 3 rectangle because 4 times 3 is 12 and that 3 is just left sitting there, so we just bring it down. So now we can relabel our rectangle. Now for you, you can just write the new measurements underneath the measurements that are already there, okay? I will put mine on the top, but you can write yours underneath. So now the long side is 12 and the short side is 3. So it's a 12 by 3 rectangle. Now we're going to use the standard algorithm to solve for 12 times 3. So go ahead and write out your equation. 12 times 3, and we're going to line it up vertically, up and down, so that we can line up our numbers. So we're going to start with the ones place. What's 2 times 3? 6. And what's 1 times 3? Right, 3. So that means that 12 times 3 is 36. So we're going to write 36 in this blank. And then in the blank where it says area blank square centimeters, we're going to write 36 there also. All right, now we've completed letter D. If you want to pause now so that you can write everything down, go ahead and do so. Now let's move on to letter C, because I said we were going to do D first, then C. So if we look at C, area says 4 by 9 or 4 times 9. And then they broke it apart, right? So they broke it apart to 2 times 2 times 9. And they grouped 2 times 2 together, which will still give you 4 times 9. But like I said before, if they group the first 2 numbers, then when we regroup, we need to regroup using the last 2 numbers to change the equation. So instead of 2 times 2 grouped together, now we have 2 times 9 grouped together. All right, so that changes our equation. Instead of 4 times 9, we're going to end up with 2 times 18, because 2 times 9 is 18. So the measurement for this rectangle is going to be a 2 centimeter by 18 centimeter rectangle. And now we solve. What's 2 times 18? 36. And in that blank below there where it says area blank square centimeters, area is 36 square centimeters. Now, if you want to go ahead and pause your video to make sure that you have everything written down, go ahead and do so now. All right, now let's look at letter E. Letter E says that the area of this square is 12 by 3. And if that's broken apart, then the equation that you're left with is 6 times 2 times 3. Now, 12 times 3, notice that they put the parentheses around the first 2 numbers, the 6 and the 2. Well, we're using the associative property, which means we're not going to group the same numbers that they grouped. We're actually going to move the parentheses. So if the first 2 numbers are grouped when they do it, that means when you and I do it, we have to group the second 2 numbers, or the 2 and the 3. So our new equation ends up being 6, because that 6 is over there by itself, so we bring that down, times 2 times 3. And what's 2 times 3? 6. That's right. So go ahead and now label your square. So you have a 6 by 6 centimeter square. So we solve the equation now of 6 times 6. And what's 6 times 6? If you said 36, you're absolutely correct. So we put a 36 in this blank. And then in the blank where it says area blank square centimeters, we're going to write 36 there also. Now will be a good time to go ahead and pause the video if you need to make sure that you have everything written down in the correct place. Now we're on number 2. Number 2 says, does problem 1 show all the possible whole number side lengths for a rectangle with an area of 36 square centimeters? How do you know? So the answer to this question is no, it doesn't. And I know because 36 has 9 factors. They are 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 9, 12, 18, and 36. Now remember, factors are numbers that you can multiply together to get the same product or to get a product. And let's go ahead and go over the factors that you can multiply together to get the product of 36. Let's start with 1. 1 times 36 equals 36. 2 times 18 equals 36. 3 times 12 equals 36. 4 times 9 equals 36. And 6 times 6 equals 36. Now notice all of the factors are highlighted in a different color so that you can see that all 9 factors are listed. You may want to pause your video so that you can write these equations down showing the factors of 36. Now let's look at number 3. Number 3A says find the area of the rectangle below. So the measurements of this particular rectangle is 8 by 6. So the equation to find the area is 8 times 6. And what's 8 times 6? 48. So if you said 48, good job. So for number 3A, this is all you need to write. That area equals 8 times 6, and the area equals 48 because that's the answer for 8 times 6. Now we're looking at B. B says, Hilda says a 4 centimeter by 12 centimeter rectangle has the same area as the rectangle in part A. Place parentheses in the equation to find the related fact to solve. Is Hilda correct? Why or why not? Okay, so for 4 times 12 equals 4 times 2 times 6. That means that they have to have the parentheses placed around the 2 and the 6 because I know that 2 times 6 is 12. So that's how they have it grouped to create the equation 4 times 12. Well, we're using the associative property, which means we have to regroup the numbers. So if they group the last 2 numbers, then when you regroup the numbers, you have to group the first 2 numbers. So instead of 4 times 12 as an equation, since the first 2 numbers are grouped, what's our equation now? Well, let's work what's inside of the parentheses first. 4 times 2 is 8. And since that 6 is sitting there all by itself, you just go ahead and bring that on down. So now our new equation is 8 times 6. Well, what's 8 times 6? Just look at the rectangle above that we've already completed. 8 times 6 is 48. So our area is 48 square centimeters. Now, is Hilda correct? Why or why not? Yes, Hilda is correct. Because if you move the parentheses around the first 2 numbers, your new equation will be 8 times 6, which is also 48. Now you may want to go ahead and pause your video and write the information down so that you have the correct information for your homework. This is the last question of our homework, letter C, and it says use the expression 8 times 6 to find the different side lengths for a rectangle that has the same area as rectangle in part A. Show your equations using parentheses, then estimate to draw the rectangle and label the side lengths. Okay, so the rectangle from part A looked like this. So we had an 8 by 6 rectangle, and the area was 48. So we're going to need different side lengths to show the same area. So I decided to have the dimensions from part B, which was 12 times 4, right? 12, the length is 12 because it's 12 units long, by 4. 4 because it's 4 units wide. And 12 times 4, if we go ahead and complete the calculations using the standard algorithm, starting at the ones place, 2 times 4 is 8, and 1 times 4 is 4. So the dimensions from part B of 12 times 4 ended up being the same as 8 times 6 dimensions, or 8 by 6. So the area for both was 48. You may want to pause your video to make sure that you have everything written down. As I said, that was our last question, so that means that our lesson 8 homework is complete. Congratulations! As always, I hope this video helped you complete your homework quickly and correctly, or at least help you to check your work if you had already completed it before watching the video. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will see you next time. Bye.